Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today I am excited to bring you some exclusive new footage of the Battlefield 4 Final Stand expansion. We're going to be looking at a new map called Whiteout and some extremely cool new gadgets and vehicles. The first item I want to show you here is a railgun. This is a Battlefield pickup. It has 8 shots with pretty much 0 bullet drop, and the bullet travels almost instantaneously. It's not quite hit scan, but it's so darn fast that you don't really need to lead any of your targets. Each round has to be chambered individually, so you have to make your shots count. Now, aside from taking out infantry, this thing also does massive damage to vehicles. It seemed to do about 25 damage to a tank, and for light armored vehicles such as scout helicopters, it seemed to pretty much one-shot them. So watch out, chopper pilots. You have a new Battlefield pickup that can absolutely destroy you. Now, one of the coolest things about this expansion is that it is a prequel to Battlefield 2142. Sure, it doesn't take place in the year 2142, but these maps do show where a lot of the vehicles and early prototypes were being built. This specific map here, Whiteout, shows where the original hover tanks were being built, and we'll get on to showing some hover tank gameplay a little bit later. But first, let's take a look at one of the battle pickups that I think everybody's super curious about, and that is the MKV. MKV stands for Multiple Kill Vehicle. When you pick this up in Battlefield, it's going to give you this funny looking little pod. You place it down on the ground and then go find a good spot to hide and remotely control it. Just like the UCAV, it does have a limited flight time, but during that flight time you can cause some major damage. It has a minigun and it flies around much like a UAV would. You can hover in place. It has little rocket thrusters to essentially assist its movement around the map, and this minigun can deal some serious damage to light armored vehicles, and it can absolutely tear apart infantry. Now, as much fun as it is flying this thing around the map and harassing infantry, the original MKV would have been used in a very different situation. It would have actually been launched out of a ballistic missile to basically intercept other ballistic missiles, essentially incoming nukes, and this was designed to shoot down multiple incoming nukes. So the minigun in it is actually designed to actually hit missiles, but in Battlefield we are going to use it to kill infantry, which seems like definitely a good use of a multi-billion-dollar weapon. As an MKV pilot, you have lots of advantages and some disadvantages that you need to be aware of. The first advantage is that you're extremely small, so it's going to be hard for the enemy to see you. It also makes you a harder target to hit. The disadvantage is that you do not have a lot of health, so a simple assault rifle or any weapon really can take you out very quickly if you're sitting stationary for too long, so keep moving for sure. Now, you have these little thrusters that fire off, and on some of the darker maps they actually give away your position pretty easily, so you just have to watch out for that. You also don't have a very long lifespan, so you want to make sure that you deploy this thing pretty close to the action, otherwise you're going to run out of fuel in time before you get there. I believe it's about 60 seconds right now before you run out of fuel. One of the cooler possibilities of this weapon is that you can really take it anywhere. Sure, I'm flying high in the sky right now, soaring over some of the landscapes, but you can also take it into any doorway or building. It's got complete maneuverability and reacts very quickly, so you're really going to be able to do just about anything with this little guy. Now, of course, one of the most insulting ways to get a kill with this thing is to not use the gun at all and go for the roadkill. Chasing a transport helicopter here, the pilot bails out, no idea that an MKV is chasing him, and there you go, squish the noob. Alright, now how about these hover tanks? We all know that 2142 had hover tanks, and they actually had some interesting levitation devices. These are prototype hover tanks, and rather than having some interesting futuristic levitation device, these ones actually use rocket thrusters to stay afloat, and they're pretty darn loud, and their turning is very interesting. I have a feeling that these vehicles are going to be tweaked quite a bit more, but they do allow you to have pretty much the same type of maneuverability as the original hover tank, where you can side strafe. The turret does not have independent movement from the body, so if you want to turn the turret from left to right, you have to turn the whole body of the tank, just like the original hover tank in Battlefield 2142. Now, we have to keep in mind that this footage is very early on, so the aiming and maneuverability of the hover tank is subject to change, and I have a feeling that we're going going to see a little bit more finesse with the final hover tank. Now, although aiming is trickier with this beast, its maneuverability is certainly far superior than a normal tank. It seems to pretty much have the same speed of a normal tank, but you can side strafe and you can get over terrain much quicker. This is going to allow you to really pull off some interesting maneuvers, and let me tell you, if you're going to try and C4 a hover tank, you are not safe standing on the side of it. You can basically strafe to the side very quickly and get a kill with it. Sometimes it's easier just to go for the road kills because the aiming in this thing currently is a bit tricky. As for customizing your hover tank, I went through the menu and it seems to have all the standard main battle tank attributes, so you can equip all the guns that you're used to on the main battle tank and all of the defensive measures. And you might think because there's some distance between this and the ground that perhaps you can go prone and the hover tank won't squish you. That is not the case. It's also excellent for running over smaller vehicles and getting some easy road kills that way. One of the most important things as a hover tank driver is to have a good gunner for you, because the secondary gun on the hover tank is just like a main battle tank secondary gun, can maneuver around, shoot infantry for you, and that's going to allow your gunner to basically deal with any sort of high priority infantry threats when you are really lacking in maneuverability. The driver of the hover tank is really going to be mostly for taking out other armor targets that are bigger and easier to hit. You just really, at this point in the game anyway, lack the finesse to line up a lot of infantry shots. It's going to be much easier in a main battle tank as a driver to take out infantry, so this is going to be a heavily team-oriented vehicle. You're definitely going to want a secondary gunner. Now, in case you guys didn't know, Battlefield 4 Final Stand is going to be available to play starting today on the CTE server. So if you haven't tried out CTE yet, this is the time to do it. You can basically get a sneak peek at the new expansion. Again, this is essentially the game in the beta state, so don't judge some of the bugs that might be in the game, or some of the vehicle tuning and balance might change for the final product, but it is still a great excuse to get in play CTE. I do believe you have to have premium to take advantage of this feature. Did I mention that snowmobiles are the new transportation vehicle for getting around the Final Stand maps? These are by far one of my new favorite vehicles in the game. They are so fast and they can do some epic jumps. In fact, Whiteout seems to be really designed just for snowmobile jumps, and there's going to be a lot of really good opportunities to strap some C4 on his snowmobiles, take them off of jumps, and blow up tanks and helicopters and just about anything you can think of. Anyway guys, stay tuned to this channel. There's going to be a lot more Battlefield Final Stand content coming out tomorrow and further on through the week. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing out.